The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has over the years achieved some successes regards their mandate of ensuring land and natural resources are managed effectively. Some of the major achievements include the successful implementation of the Lands Administration Project, LAP, Afforestation and Reforestation Project, and the most importantly, fighting to halt the activities of galamseyers. The best property one can ever receive from a parent, a friend, spouse is a land. Land has many benefits to individuals and the nation at large. Ghana has a total landmass of 239,460 square kilometers. Managing such a vast resources owned by individuals, clans, stews, skins, and the government comes with a heavy burden. In an attempt to ensuring a proper management and record keeping of the land resources, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in partnership with its development agencies, started the LAP project in 2003.
The LAP project began in 2003. It's basically a 25-year project, and so far it's gone through one cycle, which we call LAP 1. That's the Land Administration Project 1. And Land Administration Project 2 is ongoing.
Land administration has seen a remarkable improvement since the inception of LAP 1. First, we have had the agencies coming together into one agency, and then the reform agenda is key on the minds of everybody. Now there's awareness that we cannot go the same way as we have been going. We can't do business as usual. So we need to reform to ensure that we now move into the digitized environment. And of course, there's the issue of modernization and the use of modern equipment. We have introduced modern systems into our land administration sector to make sure that we are more efficient, and then also we will comply with what exists elsewhere in the other parts of the world.
I think we've achieved a lot with the project, but I think we have to recognize that this is a very long-term process. This is not something that will change overnight. You're dealing with a very complex environment which involves traditional practices as well as all the other issues around land ownership.
LAP, the Lands Administration Project, has significantly improved land registration system in Ghana. And it has also provided relief to people who live in rural areas as they access services provided by the Lands Commission.
With regard to land in the held by customary or traditional authorities, we realize on the LAP that it's good to provide those people with a secretariat. So 57 customary land secretariats have been established so far, and this will allow land to be, if you like, ownership to be captured at the traditional level, and it's going to be a link on the interface between the traditional level land holdings and the formal administration of land. And this is quite key to land administration in the country, because the whole idea of LAP is to improve land administration. So improvements at the traditional level, improvements at the formal level will be ongoing at the same time.
For LAP 1, there were 4 modules.
There were 4 components on the Land Administration Project 1. First component was harmonizing the regulatory framework, which is bringing all the 166 thereabout land-related laws and regulations, harmonizing them with the customary law, because traditional authorities also transact land business at the local traditional area.
LAP also assisted the Office of the Administrator of Stool Lands to establish 19 additional customary land secretariats across the nation.
Talking about villages and towns that have benefited from the project, under LAP 1, we established almost 37 CLSs. As we speak, under LAP 2, we have added on 19 more CLSs. In addition to that, we think that determining clearly traditional land boundaries will be a way to go as a nation. So the office has been involved in the customary boundary demarcation exercise, where we have been calling on traditional authorities to buy into the project to get support from the project to determine their boundaries to their lands.
And that's where the Lands Commission played the lead role. The surveyors within the Lands Commission determine the boundary of a traditional area. Upon that, you can establish a customary land secretariat for that traditional area to manage lands within its boundary. And once they are able to determine their boundaries and they have their secretariat, then you can also, the Lands Commission can also provide the registration aspect by establishing the deeds registrars in the region to be able to help people who have acquired their title to register. There is a big synergy between the Office of Administrators of Stool Lands, who are the lead agencies in the establishment of the Customer Secretariats and the Lands Commission, because we need to help these secretariats to establish proper records. Apart from the bid that we have established in Accra, in all the 10 regions of this country, the project supported the Lands Commission by providing scanners. So you go to any of the regional Lands Commission offices in the regions, officers have been scheduled to scan all their paper documents. This is all in a collaborative effort to put all our records together in a digital environment. Again, we have also benefited as a commission under the project, particularly Yabo from Lab 1 to Lab 2. We have benefited in the form of trying to be supported with a consultant who is going to develop a land information system. A land information system is like a platform for land registration, a platform for valuation, a platform for digital map production, and a platform for client being able to access the land services. So we are beginning with the land information system in 5 pilot areas, starting with Accra, Sekendi, Koforidua, Tamale, and Boga. We are doing this to achieve 2 primary objectives. We want to reduce the turnaround time of service delivery, and we also want to reduce the cost of land transaction in this country.
It also equipped the Lands Commission to re-engineer its process of old methods of data keeping.
Established in Accra, in all the 10 regions of this country, the project supported the Lands Commission by providing scanners. So you go to any of the regional Lands Commission offices in the regions, officers have been scheduled to scan all their paper documents. This is all in a collaborative effort to put all our records together in a digital environment. Again, we have also benefited as a commission under the project, particularly Yabo from Lab 1 to Lab 2. We have benefited in the form of trying to be supported with a consultant who is going to develop a land information system. A land information system is like a platform for land registration, a platform for valuation, a platform for digital map production, and a platform for client being able to access the land services. So we are beginning with the land information system in 5 pilot areas, starting with Accra, Sekendi, Koforidua, Tamale, and Boga.
Under the lab, a new headquarters for the Lands Commission has been designed.
We are doing this to achieve 2 primary objectives. We want to reduce the turnaround time of service delivery, and we also want to reduce the cost of land transaction in this country.
127 judges have also been trained to oversee the fast delivery of land cases that appear before the courts, while the courts have been provided with automated data recording equipment.
Been trained under the lab about how to manage cases. It's a professional approach. You don't just say that one. It's a professional way of, doing things. Case management, how to read maps and do things properly, make orders about locus inco, that is visiting the lands that are in dispute, which lawyers call locus, go into the locus inco. And we have collaborated with the survey department. They've taught us how to read their maps and interpret the report that they present to us.
Automation in itself has just changed everything that we are doing and has brought some aptness into the performance of the courts.
The street and house naming project was also on the lap.
What is furthermore is that we have done something that is very, very unique, which is that on the lab, funding was provided for the AMA to name over 4,000 streets and then to provide street addresses and residential house numbers.
Gender-based activities to encourage women in registering land in their names has also been a success.
We have a problem, or we have encountered situations where women probably buy a land or seek a loan to buy a land but do not register it in their name and entrust it in their husbands or their partners to put their names on it, because we have the head of the family issue in Ghana. So when there's a little problem and there's separation or divorce, the women tend to lose.
Talking about gender issues, you find that there are no particular rules and regulations, whether customary or otherwise, that prevent a woman in Ashanti from registering her land. If you go up north, that is a different ball game, because we find that because of the system of inheritance, which is patrilineal, women are at a disadvantage.
The Forestry Commission is under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Over the years, it has undertaken so much in afforestation, reforestation, and protection of existing mangroves and forest covers.
The core mandate of the Forestry Commission in Ghana is to protect, manage and develop forest and wildlife resources. We all know the benefit of the forest in terms of environmental as well as economic contribution to the nation's development. Naturally in Ghana we have the natural forest and then we have also the plantation forest. However, over the years we've depended so much on the natural forest that for farming activities, for export of wood, and so on and so forth.
Government plantation program has been established and implemented in almost all the 10 regions of the country. There have been two major programs under this plantation program. The first one that was established within forest reserves. Again, because we have forest reserves across the country, both in the northern sector, in the middle belt, and also in the southern parts of Ghana, these areas were covered. Then the second part, or the second program, which included political districts that do not have forest reserves, and what in forestry parlance we call off-reserve areas, were also covered.
My name is Enes Nkansa Kwatin, the District Forest Manager for Offenso Forest District. We are now in Mankran Forest Reserve. Looking at the background is the green fire brick, which is separating the outside forest reserve and the forest. The purpose of the green fire brick is to protect the plantations and the forest reserve from fire that is coming from outside. And looking around is the plantation for 2010. The government expanded forest plantation program, and we established 180 hectares in this area for the 2010 coup.
Right now we are at Supong Forest Reserves. is one of the forest reserves we have in the Asimfoso Forest District. The total area planted under the 2010 plantation is 60 hectares. And the species planted are Ofram, Stridella, and Masonia. It was established by Ecotech. As we can see the structure, there has not been any incidents of fire outbreak because of the regular patrolling activities that we embark on. We have been doing fire patrolling day and night to curtail any form of fire spreading into the reserve.
We have 17 globally significant biodiversity areas within the region. Some are wholly protected, some are partial protected. With the wholly protected areas, we have the Cape 3 Points Forest Reserve, which is within Takoradi Forest District. Then we have the Ebi Shelter Belt. That one is within Takwa Forest District. We have 2 forest reserves that are also wholly protected, being manned by the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission. And these reserves are the Ankasa Conservation Area. Then we have the Bia South. The Ankasa Conservation Area is within Takwa Forest District, and the Bia South Forest Reserve is within Jabeso Forest District.
We are now in the Awiaso East Forest Reserve. This is a Mobaka site, and it's between compartment 80 and 81 of Amiaso East Forest Reserve. This place we demarcated 50 hectares, and you know, this is a good site which we should have demarcated for such a program, looking at the environment, the adjacent environment around. But we had illegal patches of farms, so we decided to demarcate the 2 hectares that covered the illegal patches of farms. And you can see a good stand of Sidala, of Ram, Mahogany, and you know, a mixture of indigenous and the Sidala, the exotic.
Looking at the widespread concerns and the consequences of the use of the very little remaining natural forests, there is the need, therefore, to go into massive plantation programs. And that is what we have been carrying out since.
We
are right now at a central nursery. It is about 1 hectare area. The area we are developing now, we are in an area where we raise thick seedlings. And you can see the workers busy weeding inside the thick. So this is what we call thick. Normally, a common man will say the telephone pole. The telephone poles you see, or like electricity poles. These are the electricity poles we are raising now, and we are also using them for the national forest plantation. These are on beds. Before we raise them in like this, we start them on another area called pre-germination beds. So this is the beginning of the nursery process. We first pre-germinate them here, and then we transplant them into the transplant beds.
Now we are in Yendi Forest District, and precisely 2010 Kunkong Reforestation site under the National Forest Plantation Development Program. Yeah, this is one of the thick trees of the plantation that was established in 2010. So we'll say it's a 3-year-old thick plant now. All these things need to be pruned so that they can grow very straight and have a very good economic value at the end. We need a very good product of the plantation side. One of the trees that is pruned with a cutlass. But as you can see, the cutlass is not the appropriate tool to use for the pruning. We have a pruning source, and we hope in future we'll supply the pruning source.
The plantation drive, with the 2010 plantation drive, has really brought a lot of life and hope into this region. We have taken it upon ourselves, the district assembly, traditional authorities, and the civil society. They have all been brought on board to help restore back the lost tree cover. And significant that in 2010, we've been able, the region together with all stakeholders, we've been able to plant up in 2010 3,209 hectares. In 2011, we were able to get exactly, we were able to plant up again 1,987 hectares. Then in 2012, we were able to plant up 2,188 hectares. In sum, we have together 7,384 hectares. The number of people employed field assistants employed in this exercise is 8,974. The fields were also intercropped with millet, sorghum, all the foodstuffs, yams and maize and all the cereals that one can think of, because consistent with the objective of the plantation development program, which included restoring our degraded forest cover, making food available to many households. Since the food assistants were recruited from the forestry communities, they will be paid. It's through contract labor, so they are paid. So money will be in their pockets, and they have money to at least pay for the children. This is an area where the poverty level is a bit higher. So with this, we'll help them get money that they pay for to meet the daily expenditure.
The plantation establishment in this region started in the early 70s when we were doing the Tonja system, where we gave land to farmers to plant food crops, and we also plant our trees. It continued until 1998 when we had the German government giving funds to the government to establish what we call the Forum Project from 1998. For the past 15 years, also came into establish plantations. So under the Forum Project, we had about 4,200 hectares established during that period. At the end of the project, we then move on to the National Forest Plantation projects. And for the past 3 years, our target for 2010 was 3,000, 2011 was 1,000, and 2012 was 700. In 2012, out of the target of 3,000, we were able to achieve about 2,490 hectares. In 2011, out of the 1,000 hectares, we just were able to achieve 632 hectares. Then in 2012, out of 700 hectares, we achieved 245.47 hectares.
In Ghana, we've heavily relied on our natural forests to provide all the environmental and socio-economic benefits from the forest. However, when it comes to the natural forest is not able to produce the kind of economic benefit as we can get from the plantation forest. For instance, when you take other countries, for instance, Brazil makes about $6 billion from its plantation resource. Malaysia makes